Do you consider this a good investment? I'm Matt. I do a bunch of real estate investing, and I've been doing it for over 10 years, bought over 60 properties at this point, and I'm going to answer this question. Do I consider this a good deal? Now, this person put a lot of detail into this, but what I'm honing in on is the fact that he bought it for $245,000 and it's cash flowing almost $520 a month. He's even saying it might hit almost $700 a month for 2026. That sounds pretty good. Now, he does mention it's a condo. I don't typically like condos, but they can be decent, especially for long-term hold. In this case, he's saying it's near a flood zone or in a flood zone. And that could or could not be a factor. Just because you're in a flood zone doesn't mean it's gonna flood. Sometimes it's rated flood worthy, but that doesn't mean it's gonna flood. If you're on the coast of something, yeah, maybe you have a bigger chance of that. But if you're just kind of inland and it's just kind of been like that for 30 years without any major floods, you're probably fine. Now, one thing he does mention is down here, he mentions that he had a clog, and when he wanted to get a plumber, it ended up being an HOA responsibility, and it took longer than he would have liked. But the truth is, it didn't have to take longer than he liked. It only had to be longer than he liked because he wanted to have it paid for by the HOA. And one thing as business owners and operators of real estate, you have to be willing to take that expense sometimes to speed up the success rate of what your guest or what your long-term tenant is dealing with. In this case, he said, I'm going to let it be reliant on the HOA. And if this is your action methodology and how you do these things when you have an issue, like this is not ideal. This is not like what I would call a veteran level response. This is clearly beginner. And when you have this kind of approach, this won't be a scalable method. You have to be willing to say, you know what, I'm gonna eat it, I'm gonna get through this, because otherwise tenants and guests will give you hell. You could never have a short-term rental operator operate like this. But as a long-term tenant operator, you probably could get away with this. I just don't advise it. And again, if you're making $500 to $700 a month, eat the $200. That's all you gotta do. Eat it, move on, and you're still gonna make money at the end of the year. So what do I think? This guy's probably making $500 plus a month. Let's call that $6,000 a year. Maybe even with expenses, he's making $6,000 a year on his purchase that hopefully he didn't put too much down on. That could be decent. The ratio and margin at which that $6,000 comes back to him is another question. Let's assume it was a $250,000 purchase, 10% down, so $25,000, and he's getting, let's say, $6,000 back. Let's call it 5 for easy numbers. That's a 25% cash on cash. Pretty good deal. He should keep going if he can duplicate this.